May 1945. The Third Reich had collapsed, but inside the command tent of the Third Army, a dangerous new battle was being fought. General George S. Patton, Jr. sat behind his field desk, reviewing surrender rosters. Standing directly across from him was a captured Sturmbannführer of the Waffen-SS. Wearing a spotless dress uniform, the German officer stood tall, chest out, arrogantly demanding high-level diplomatic escort, top-tier officer rations, and absolute protection from any war crimes investigation. He didn't ask for mercy. He looked down at the American guards and asserted that as a decorated frontline commander who fought to the end, he deserved to be treated as a hero. Patton slowly stood up from his desk. He didn't read him his rights. He didn't call for a legal tribunal. Instead, Patton walked straight up to the German, reached for his ivory-handled revolver, and spat out a line that shocked every officer in the room. "You stand there in your clean uniform calling yourself a hero, but if Washington orders me to grant you safe escort, I will draw this sidearm and personally execute you right here on this carpet." In that single explosive second, Patton declared war on diplomatic leniency, choosing brutal field justice over political compromises. Did Patton cross a line by threatening summary execution, or was he the only general brave enough to deliver the justice the world refused to offer? You decide. Tell me in the comments right now. If you were in Patton's boots, looking at an unrepentant war criminal demanding to be treated as a hero, what would you have done? To understand why Patton was ready to risk his career and reputation, you have to look at the blood-soaked trail left behind by the man standing before him. This SS Sturmbannführer was no honorable combat commander. He was a high-ranking officer in a division responsible for executing massacres across occupied Europe. During the final months of the war, while thousands of young men were dying in the mud, his unit executed civilians, burned defenseless villages, and shot captured Allied prisoners. But as American armor closed in, he quickly stripped off his mud-stained field tunic, put on a pristine parade uniform, and walked into the American camp with an insufferable smirk. He genuinely believed that his rank and medals made him untouchable. He assumed that once the shooting stopped, the Western Allies would treat high-ranking SS commanders as military elites rather than criminal monsters. When American intelligence officers presented him with documented records of his unit's atrocities, the German showed pure scorn. He crossed his arms and boldly declared that every execution was a legal military action. He then had the audacity to demand private quarters, superior officer rations, and immediate recognition as a fallen hero of the Eastern Front. To Patton, this was not just arrogance. It was a direct spit in the face of every fallen American soldier. The thought of a mass murderer using legal loopholes and grand speeches to secure a comfortable retirement made Patton's blood boil. While legal teams in Washington were drafting complex paperwork to establish comfortable holding facilities for high-ranking captives, George S. Patton was seeing red. He knew that bureaucratic courts would spend years arguing over technicalities while unrepentant killers slept in warm beds, and Patton was not going to let that happen in his theater of war. The atmosphere inside Patton's office turned sub-zero. Staff officers stood frozen along the canvas walls, terrified to make a single sound. They had seen Patton's temper before, but this was a quiet, deadly calculation of rage. The heavy creak of Patton's boots was the only sound in the room as he slowly walked around his desk. He stopped inches away from the SS commander's face. The German didn't back down. He raised his chin, looked down at Patton, and repeated his demand to be treated with the honor due to a frontline hero. Patton leaned in close. his face red with rage, his voice dropping into a harsh, gravelly whisper. "You dare stand in my sight and call yourself a hero?" Patton snarled, pointing a finger straight at the German's chest. "A hero protects soldiers. You murdered helpless prisoners and hid behind your men. You are not a hero. You are a rabid dog, and when a dog goes rabid, you don't honor it. You put a bullet straight through its head." The German's smug expression flickered for a fraction of a second, but his deep-seated arrogance quickly returned. He replied in sharp English, "Your superiors in Washington will never allow you to touch me. International protocols protect my status." Patton didn't raise his voice. He slowly reached down to his waist, unbuckled the leather strap of his ivory-handled revolver, and placed his hand firmly around the grip. The metallic click of the holster ring echoed through the silent room like ice cracking open. Ask yourself this right now. When dealing with a monster who uses human rights as a shield while showing zero humanity, is strict protocol true justice, or is it pure cowardice? Let me know in the comments below. Patton drew the heavy revolver halfway out of its leather holster, locking his cold glare onto the German officer's eyes, and delivered an ultimatum that no one in that room would ever forget. "Washington is 3,000 miles away across the ocean," Patton said, his voice dropping into a calm, deadly register. "In this room, I am your judge and your executioner. If I hear one more demand for hero treatment come out of your mouth, I will pull this trigger, put a bullet straight through your head, and leave your body on this floor. And I will write the official report myself." A suffocating silence fell over the room. 1 second passed. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. The SS commander's face completely drained of color, turning a sickly, ghostly white. The arrogant posture he had held for hours instantly collapsed. His knees began to shake violently beneath his polished uniform. For the very first time, he realized that General George S. Patton was not playing politics. He was looking into the eyes of a warrior who cared nothing for high command disapproval or press backlash if it meant delivering immediate retribution. The German tried to speak, to cite another military regulation, but the words caught in his throat. He slowly dropped his gaze to the floor, completely unable to hold Patton's terrifying glare. Patton didn't pull the trigger, but the punishment he delivered smashed the Nazi commander's sense of invincibility into dust. Patton took one step back, wiped his hands with a clean handkerchief, and turned toward the 2 military police guards standing at attention by the tent flap. "Take this coward out of my sight," Patton ordered coldly, his voice echoing off the canvas walls. "Strip him of that dress coat. Take his boots. Rake every medal, every badge, and every piece of rank off his uniform until he has nothing left to boast about." The MP guards moved in instantly, grabbing the German by his arms and ripping the elite SS insignia right off his collar. "Put him in the central labor enclosure," Patton continued, pointing out toward the muddy compound outside. "Put him with the lowest-ranking captives. Hand him a heavy sledgehammer and put him on 12-hour shifts, breaking concrete debris in the freezing rain. If he refuses to work, or if he utters another word about being a hero, leave him in the mud." The guards dragged the stumbling, terrified officer out into the open courtyard. As his precious medals were tossed into the freezing mud, the man who had arrogantly demanded hero status broke down completely, weeping and pleading for mercy in front of hundreds of watching American soldiers. The arrogant commander who demanded a hero's welcome was now down on his knees in the mud, breaking rocks alongside the very men he had led to defeat. Patton holstered his revolver, buttoned his leather strap, turned back to his field desk, and resumed signing his daily battle reports as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. Why was this explosive confrontation scrubbed from official military archives for over 80 years? The War Department in Washington was terrified of the fallout. Admitting that top American generals were threatening summary execution to discipline captured officers would have completely destroyed the Allied narrative of strict moral superiority and legal order. Official reports detailing Patton's direct threats were quietly confiscated, edited, or classified under high-level national security restrictions. Washington needed Patton's brilliant tactical mind to crush the enemy, but once the war ended, they spent years trying to suppress his uncompromising brand of field justice. Yet, the men who served in the Third Army never forgot what happened in that tent. They knew that while politicians in Washington traded diplomatic favors, General Patton believed that granting hero status or special protection to unrepentant war criminals was a betrayal of every soldier who gave his life for freedom. Now, I leave the final debate to you. Was Patton's threat to personally execute the SS commander a necessary act of moral justice, or did his complete contempt for official protocol cross a line that no commander should ever cross? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe to the channel for more unedited history, and I will see you in the next episode.
Do you think Patton went too far, or did he do what the battlefield demanded?